Ladies and gentlemen, we now are going to have the technology session where we have a list of eminent speakers who would be sharing with us their views and thoughts as they carry with themselves long years of experience. So starting with, we have with us Mr. Mehul Kapadia, who's the Vice President, Marketing and Strategy for SME India Unit, Tata Communications. May I please invite Mr. Mehul Kapadia up on stage to share with us his thoughts. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Mehul Kapadia.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. See, this is what happens. You say good morning and everybody says good morning. Let me try again. Good afternoon, everybody. Good, because I got some response. As she said, I think the morning session was very interesting in terms of learning about the financial management part, learning about how SMEs are really looking at their finances, how can they manage it better. The afternoon is more about the IT part. I think no longer IT is something of an afterthought for SMEs. And we'll, as we go through the presentation, we'll see a bunch of thoughts on how we believe SMEs need to cope up with their IT challenges and how it can actually be a very powerful productivity tool for them. Ashwin mentioned in the morning that, it's an SME event, so it's okay if you don't switch off your telephones and you keep your mobiles on. And there's a context to it. The context is that we guys are really changing in the SME space now. I met up a customer 2 weeks back, and he used to be actually a trading partner of a Singapore-based company in Mumbai. So he used to actually just get stuff from them, trade it in Mumbai. He's actually now bought over that company. So that's the kind of transition that SMEs in India are doing. The kind of opportunity of growth that we get in our markets is actually helping our SMEs to really change the boundaries, really go beyond what they typically thought is possible. And the other key factor which is happening is that the Gen Next is coming in and working at the SMEs. So if you have your son who's 24 years, who's joining you, your daughter who's 25 years, who's joining you into your business, they are tech savvy. They have a different perspective of how they want to do business, how they want to grow the business. So whether you believe technology is important for you or not, it does have a role to play now. The Gen Next of entrepreneurs are trying to do it. The staff that you get in is mobile savvy, is technology savvy, is email friendly. Hence, you need to ensure that your organization also matures along the same curve. And while doing it, are you then having to spend a lot of your money going into things that you should not be? And that's where you will see the challenges that SMEs have. A study suggests that close to 50% of the SMEs' IT spends today go on the hardware that they procure. And maybe another 25-30% actually goes in maintaining that hardware. Now, if you see what happens in that is, the SME has put a lot of money then into possibly a non-core asset. So instead of investing in plant and machinery, or instead of, if they're in the service industry, it's a different ball game. But if they're in manufacturing, if they're in trading, then rather using their cash flows in a different way, are you really then spending your money into non-productive assets? Is there a way for you to maximize what you can do here? And that's where really comes in the different needs of these SMEs. A manufacturing guy would have a lot of remote locations. They would not necessarily have IT know-how expertise internally. I mean, look at a manufacturing SME owner. What's his first thought when he's recruiting somebody? Is he recruiting somebody who manages his plant well? Is he recruiting somebody who's doing his sales well? Or is he recruiting somebody who's a top-notch IT guy? Chances are he's doing the first two and not really going behind the IT guy. And that's his challenge. But can IT really help him? Have countries like Taiwan, where, smaller industries have now become giant players, they've completely happened on the back of technology. You look at retail. As retail grows, security concerns come in. You have POS terminals, you can speed up your transactions. You also need to hence invest in IT in some form or shape. IT, ITA, stockbroking, BFSI, they anyways are needed to be tech savvy because IT is their backbone to do their work. That's where this entire concept, and there are various names with which people call it. People call it the cloud. We prefer to call it the network of the future. We could also call it the cloud. The point is that really speaking from an SME standpoint, where having established that you don't necessarily have the right amount of IT skills or technology skills, or you would rather not too much invest in it internally, what could you do? You could actually leverage and transform your technology needs. You could hence use these concepts of cloud which have come in, which really help you to reduce your capex, allow you to offload a lot of your burden onto your telecom provider or your IT provider. And that includes a range of things. It includes the network connectivity, your thing onto the internet, your thing onto your closed VPN connectivity, or even things like services that you need to do. So if you take this concept further, how does it transform? And purposely kept a very technical slide. Wanted to ensure everybody's attentive in the afternoon. But the point is that here, really speaking, does this need to be as complex for you? Or should it be as simple as I'm a customer, I don't necessarily have a big IT organization of my own. Can you take this entire thing and deliver to me? Okay, and that's what really is the concept of cloud computing. If you see what cloud computing does is that it takes away your physical infrastructure. You could have a lot of infrastructure today. In fact, I met up a customer in Bangalore. He is an IT organization, and as he keeps adding clients, he needs to keep adding a mini data center of his own. So every time he adds a mini data center, he needs a new power line coming in. He needs more cooling. His flooring needs to be taken care of, and then he has to push off 4 of his guys into one more small little cubicle. Instead of that, just take off your entire hardware and put it out into somebody's data center. Let the data center experts manage the servers. Let them figure out how to scale it up, give you more computing power for yourselves. Look at your procurement cycles now. The minute you've taken concepts like cloud or you've outsourced in a way your IT needs to somebody, your entire procurement cycle reduces. You now have somebody who's doing it at a larger volume, at a larger scale for you. It also gives you a certain strategic advantage when you need to go out and compete in the market faster. So if you're a manufacturing company and you need to deploy some form of ERP, a typical ERP implementation you would know would take anywhere between 6 to 12 months. Rather, take a SaaS solution which is available, which can get you up and running extremely quickly, and your deployment headaches are just not there. It also has low risk of failure. And the reason why I say that is that you haven't invested in capex on it. You haven't taken, and we have heard a gentleman in the morning talking about how working capital tends to get used for these kind of things rather than for his core business. So you don't need to do that. Use it on an OPEX-based model. And it definitely improves efficiency. The faster you can reach out into the market, the faster your delivery, the easier for you. And how it changes your traditional model is that typically, and that's how SMEs who've now matured and become larger organizations would have started, they would have probably managed the entire stack themselves. Over a period of time, when things like infrastructure as a service come in, you partially do that. You let some of your services be managed by yourself, because also the other fact is that SMEs do believe that data is very precious to me. How can I have my data residing in somebody else's data center? I have a lot of confidential information on it. I have a lot of transactions which I may or may not be showing in whatever form. So those kind of security concerns are now easily handled. State-of-the-art security solutions are available which can ensure that even your mobile workforce, people who are carrying your laptops, who are your sales guys, who are in remote parts of the country, when they log in into your systems, they're still on secured connectivity. So you give partially your services out to somebody else to manage. You could actually take a next leap, move on to things like platform as a service, where you take bulk of your requirements and put it out. And finally, where you take everything as a software as a service, where you practically moved your entire infrastructure out into the cloud, into your telecom operator. What this basically helps you do is over a period of time, it really, really reduces your operational and capital expenditures. And this is important. While definitely there are people available in the market who would like to finance you, who trust you, the important part is that if you can invest more of your money into your core infrastructure and leave the rest to the expert, I think it works. The BPO model, which India in some sense has pioneered, is exactly based on that kind of a premise. So it helps you reduce your costs. It definitely gives you more access to latest technology. You do not need to worry about whether the next upgrade is happening or not. Am I using the latest version of ERP? Am I actually using the latest version of the CRM? IT overheads definitely reduces because you don't need to necessarily have a very qualified general manager who's actually looking after IT. You can actually have somebody who's at maybe a mid-management level, but who can take care of your requirements. And faster go-to-market. So if you look at it, this in a nutshell is more to talk about how SMEs today can actually leverage this. And typically we've seen this problem in India that a lot of the stuff that we get would have probably got created for enterprises, and it's just given to SMEs saying that, okay, use it. And that's where the difference is, and we now see a bunch of operators coming up, and especially us, looking at creating specific solutions which are bottoms up for the SME. Where it's not created for a large enterprise like Unilever and then said that, okay, you distributor of Unilever also use that. Rather think of his needs. These are extremely different. We met recently a software provider who creates software for billing only for petrol pumps in Maharashtra. And these kind of service providers are available. How do you take such service providers and reach them out? And that's where this entire thing of using the cloud, using the platform, using software as a service really comes into play. So that's a very quick perspective that I had to share with you today on how the cloud can be leveraged for the organization of the future. Thank you. Do you want questions right now or later? Yes, please.
The floor is open for Q&A, please. Yeah.
Thank you.
So last year, since last 1 year, you have been talking about cloud.
Yep.
Most of the companies have not been able to switch over to cloud because what happens to the existing hardware? The companies have spent lakhs of rupees on the existing hardware. Nobody talks about those hardware.
Right.
So many companies they still don't want. They want to go to cloud because of obvious benefits, but they don't go.
Right. So this is the typical model, and I think the ingenuity that India has, we'll figure out a solution for such things as well, where you can actually step one, just take your infrastructure and co-locate. So while you may not completely translate into cloud, you can take your infrastructure, co-locate it at a data center of your choice. What that at least does is it reduces your office expenditure on maintaining them, or giving a 24/7 electricity connectivity or power connectivity. As you then mature and your next set of requirements, and in fact there are hybrid models now available where part of it can run on your co-located infrastructure and part of it actually runs off the cloud. So it hence becomes scalable for you, that your growth model can be cloud, because you obviously don't want to waste the money that you've invested in your service. Yes, please.
If we are already operating with a particular kind of software, can that be logged on to cloud?
Yes. So there are multiple models. If you are having a particular software for which you bought a license, all you need to do is, and this is where a flavor of managed hosting comes in, where really speaking, service providers like us will actually help manage that software for you in terms of whether it's running fine, operational efficiency is there, if there is a reboot required, it's done, so that even if something went wrong at 2 o'clock in the night, there is somebody who can take care of it. So that's a possibility. Yeah?
Any further questions?
Okay. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Kapadia, I request you to be on stage just for a few more moments. And as a token of appreciation on behalf of E18 and Reliance, we would like to present to you a small token of appreciation.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, we'd like to thank Mr. Kapadia. Indeed, it was quite a precise presentation, easily understandable, especially post-lunch when the alertness levels are not so high. Well, thank you once again, Mr. Kapadia.